What's up, everybody, man? I hope y'all are having a good Tuesday. Man, Monday was hell for me. I don't know about y'all. Man, goods and bads in both, but man, Monday was not. Monday was too damn much. But we are here. We are looking at the KOC, looking at our current league's rankings, as you can see on the screen. Um, Man, I know I usually come in here and I'm just very like, I don't know, repetitive when it comes to communication, talking about league play, talking about standings, et cetera, et cetera. I want to try my best to not sound so bland, but sometimes it's difficult when I don't know. You just if you don't really have a few topics thrown at you, it's kind of hard to not come off that way. But we are looking over at the KOC top 25 rankings to start the show. And currently, we do have those Colorado Buffs with Austin sitting undefeated. Currently, also with a nice team over there sitting in that Big 12. Texas Tech with Isaiah 6-1. Kind of a similar season to last, I believe. I believe he's been one that's been in that playoff picture for the most part. He's been able to kind of establish himself with that Tech team, building a pretty good situation there. Showtime. Wow. Legend sitting with Georgia at 4-1. He's got had a game against Utah. I believe he's going to have a pretty decent game with Ole Miss this week. And then, of course, we have Colton in that fourth spot, 5-1 with Clemson playing well. Had a close game right there with Frizzle. Man, you got to be careful with the Frizzle. Don't know what you're going to get when it comes to Frizzle when it gets to this gameplay. And then, of course, in the fifth spot, a two-time champion in Qual with Texas, 5-1. He's going to get a decent game with Oklahoma this week. I don't believe that game has been played just yet. I'm currently in that sixth spot. Yay for me is how I'm going to put it, is because let me tell you, I snuck out of a game, really, to get up to this point against Hendricks in this last advance. And then we got Rome sitting at 6-1 with Notre Dame. You know, it's funny because it doesn't feel like Rome is doing a whole bunch of recruiting or anything, but yet somehow, some way, that Notre Dame team is staying intact. Smitty started the season extremely hot, was sitting in that number one spot, and then all of a sudden you get Jawan out of nowhere with TCU taking down the number one team in Arkansas 19-15. We'll probably break that game down a little bit later to really move him up in the rankings, and then also bring Smitty down to that eighth spot. Swag sitting in that ninth spot. Also, a lot of prayers and condolences to Swag with some personal stuff going on outside of the league space. Definitely want to make sure to keep that brother uplifted. He will have a game on his way back, I believe, this week against Qual with that Texas team. You know, I think that's the funny thing about, I guess, the struggle for me when it comes to doing shows is when I did them so long in the TH space, it was, when you know people and you know their teams and all those different things, it makes it very easy to do this kind of stuff. So if I ever seem delayed in my communication, understand it's because I'm trying to remind myself we have two leagues over here, and it's very easy to get caught up in seeing. When I see Oklahoma, I think of Mark. I don't necessarily think of Swag, even though I know Swag plays with Oklahoma in KOC. And then, of course, talked about Juwan in that 11th spot. What is J Stack going to do? J Stack ended the season, I believe, last season. He was number one in the nation. I think he lost his first or second game in the playoff picture. He's sitting 3-2 right now. He got a big win over Michigan to kind of maintain. And then we got Fuzz coming in brand new. He's undefeated. Wins his last game or gets a CPU game against the Air Force. He's going to finally, I think, have a decent test with Michigan. We're going to see how they play against each other. I wouldn't be shocked if Fuzz takes that one. Hendricks, he's obviously in that 14th spot. Talked about that game a little bit earlier. And then, of course, Jay Rose, two tough losses this season. One, obviously, they probably didn't expect from me, but Jay Rose talks too fucking much, so sometimes you just got to pop out and show a nigga. But other than that, 45-37, he gets a CPU win over Kentucky. Obviously, the expectation is for Jay Rose to find his way into the playoffs. The Ohio State user, somebody that I don't feel like was recruiting a whole lot last season, does look like that he's putting some effort in this season from the recruiting perspective. He has lost half a star with that Ohio State team, but he's 4-1. I actually like, I believe this is Tar Heel boy. He plays a pretty decent game in my opinion. Um, I mean, he was pretty competitive user when at least the one time that I played him. I'm not going to be shocked to see what that Pac-12 looks like as we're going to get ready to switch over to those conference standings. The next and obviously at 17th, we've got Brad at the 17th spot with that Penn State team, the best, in my opinion, the best O line in league play. Not really sure who he's lost to when it comes to the college side up to this point. But I know he's 4-2, 100% not out of it. Not out of it. That's the thing I like about college is that one part of it is rankings, and the other is obviously the conference, which we'll get to here in a minute. And then as our Ole Miss user, sitting at 4-1, I think he has a big game this week. Obviously, he's got. I think that's Tom Clancy playing. He's going to play against a legend. Huge game. And the thing that I'm learning about college is it's not so much about the win and loss as much as it is the point differential. You just don't want to go out there and get your ass whooped. So it's going to be very important for him when he gets out into this game against Legend to at least stay in a competitive margin. Because if he goes out there and gets smacked in this game, it can knock him out of the top 25, which was going to be filled with a CPU, unfortunately. USC, obviously, new user here last season, into his second season now. In addition, I believe that is from Mark's league. I think it's JC is what he goes by. He's been playing decent in the league. I don't know why he let. I'm gonna say let because I think he was just doing Mark a favor because his team was so ass. But he did take a throttling from Mark earlier in the season, and I didn't appreciate that. If I'd have known that that was going to happen, I would have never put those two to play each other in a rivalry game. But it did happen. He's sitting in that 19th spot. The season is definitely not over. That Big Ten is still pretty wide. So then you got Frizzle sitting in that 21 spot in the rankings, 2-4. Probably one of the most controversial situations in league play, as Frizzle had a game against Qua. There was some scheduling conflict, and again, based on the BOD's perspective, if Frizzle just didn't say too much, he would have absolutely got a forced win over Texas, and that would have absolutely pushed up his ranking. He ended up having a game against Clemson that next week, loses by or against Colton that next week, loses by 1, and then he's going to have a follow-up game, as you can see on the screen, against Isaiah. We'll see if that gets played and what the turnout is. But definitely a crazy window for Frizzle in these past 3 weeks, especially with that controversial game behind a fair sim where some may feel he should have deserved a forced win. Don't know. But he is up there. And then, of course, the user that we shall not name, and we will continue to not name. We will continue to not give credit. We will continue to not even mention. Not only in shows. We will not tag that user. We will disrespect that user in the chat. But there will be no communication whatsoever in regards to his name. We will not be doing that here. Anyway, there is a team with Wisconsin in the 24th spot. That it is what it is. I can't wait for their next game because they're going to find themselves back out of the top 25. That is the media's Top 25 rankings that we see. Obviously, when you go by the coaches picture, that changes. I think the interesting thing about the coaches picture is how much it changes because the media has Colorado in the one spot. Coaches have Colorado in the third spot. And so I always kind of look at this and find myself saying, how much do I agree? Um, I think I agree more with the coach's spot, and that has only to do with the Buffs' schedule up to this point. No shot at Austin because he's playing well. He just hadn't had it's there. He hasn't had as many games as other users up to this point, but he's undefeated. Can't do nothing about being undefeated other than to stop the man. But that is the coach's perspective. I'm gonna take a quick break, and then we're going to go through these conference standings, discuss, give a perspective on what I believe is happening and how things are going to end up. Obviously, you got to be able to combine that with schedules. I'll be right back. All right, so we're back looking at the conference standings, and the thing I love about the conference standings on the game is, you know, I'm actually curious if we ever decide one season to look at this by division play and not look at it from a conference standings perspective because, um, I mean, they tell two different stories. It just is what it is. You can have a great season and and in that very same breath, you can get taken out in the conference pretty easy. So we are going to do a quick breakdown here of the conference breakdown, conference schedules, conference standings. My apologies, and talk about where things are and how I believe they're going to end up here. So the first one in the front, obviously, we are looking at the ACC. That is going to be a user we shall not name. We have Jawan with TCU. We have obviously Smitty sitting there with Arkansas. He's in that eighth spot. We have Colton sitting with Clemson at 5-1. Frizzle with Washington, and then of course I believe we have a new Florida State user. I'm not sure yet. That'll have to be confirmed by the admins. If we do have a new Florida State user, they definitely have not announced Buddy to the league, so we'll have to figure out what's going on there. But as you look over at the conferences, obviously you have the four CPU games. As you look through each conference in league play, that was kind of the goal, was to try to make this as close as possible when it came to each conference. We may shift this again. Don't know yet. All depends on how things play out. But looking over at the ACC, I believe that this race is going to stay a close race to the very end of the season. That's right. I do believe that the two teams that are going to eventually get knocked out, which again, the controversial situation. I'm going to call it controversial just because it is controversial. The controversial situation between Frizzle and the Texas game, could have potentially stole him a game. Didn't happen. He takes a forced loss there. Loses to Clemson, which is a conference game. He gets Texas. He gets Tech, which is an out of conference game, so shouldn't really impact him in conference. But he still got a user we shall not name, TCU, and then Arkansas to play within the conference. I believe the conference is going to end with a duel, especially with TCU, with Knowles winning over Arkansas. This may end up with a three-team race in the end. I do think Wisconsin the user we shall not name, will be out of the race. I have no faith that he will be able to get them into a conference game. He'll still be able to recruit and do all those fine things, but I do think this is going to be a three-team race between Juwan, Smitty, and Colton. So the addition of Juwan obviously makes this interesting. And then the user we shall not name with Wisconsin makes this conference a little bit more competitive. That was the goal. I felt for the longest looking at this conference within league play that it was complete shit. You just basically had two guys over there, and that was it. No fault to nobody. You can't help skill. Sometimes you just have skills, just something you can't do anything about. You have an unbalanced situation. You're just essentially unbalanced. Uh, but somebody said, "Tell your boy to look at his messages." I don't know what boy we're talking about. I don't know who we're talking about. I don't know who we're discussing. He don't. He said, "I don't care about a KOC show. I just noticed something that was very disrespectful by Qua when we are actually talking about that." I do think this is going to be a three-team race. Obviously, you look at the points for and points against. Looking over at the ACC, there's not a crazy ton of points being thrown up in the conference outside of a user we shall not name. And it's defense. That's what it is. It's a defensive. This is a defensive conference. Smitty's defensive, Colton's defensive. Frizzle, when he wants to be, can be defensive. I believe this conference is going to end this year with Clemson taking the ACC. It's going to be a three. It's going to be a three-team race. In my opinion. Um, where it's going to be Arkansas versus Clemson in a conference game, and then you're going to have Juwan on the outside, hoping for a loss to shift him and bounce him into the playoff picture. Going over to the Big 12, we very different looking Big 12 than it looked in the beginning. I'll tell you that much because at one point it was just Texas and Oklahoma. And again, just based off team situations, Austin's been able to build that Colorado team. Arguably, to me, Austin has the best defense as far as a build in KOC. But again, that's just my opinion. Everybody's going to see that different. Um, then, of course, looking at the Texas roster, you can't say nothing about Texas. I mean, he's been able to build. I found out somebody is challenging Qua from a recruiting perspective, and they're challenging Qua in a very different way. And it makes sense when you think about how his success has changed since that back-to-back natty situation that he had. Oklahoma for Qua sitting and for Swag. My apologies. Sitting at 4-1, undefeated in the conference. Missouri. I have no idea who Missouri is. I believe that's PS5 guy. If I'm wrong, I apologize. I'm just not sure, but I believe PS5 guy is playing with Mizzou 3-1, and then of course we have the great Lubbock, the great Red Raider himself, and Isaiah with Texas Tech, and then Kansas right behind. So last season, what we saw was we had Kansas up at the top. J Stack had one hell of a season with those Jayhawks. He ran through the conference, which was absolutely crazy. Um, was ended up number one in the nation. Texas did not have the season that he had had prior. Oklahoma, same. I mean, the whole conference for the whole, outside of Texas Tech, really kind of took a back seat to those Jayhawks. And now this season, it looks like everybody's saying, "Okay, J Stack, you got us fucked up. We're not gonna let you do that again. Congrats on what you did do, but you will not have that success once more." And that's what I feel like I'm looking at here when it comes to the conference. The one thing about a motivated, or let me say, the one thing about a driven Austin when it comes to gameplay is don't let his situation look like it does right now. Because in my mind, that means it's going to continue. In my mind, that means this will not change. He's going to obviously be challenged because I don't believe, they're 3-0. Which again, I'm gonna have to go look at some conference games or look at schedules because again, I think the Big 12 as the way it looks, you got to obviously go look at the Texas and look at this situation. So Texas still plays Oklahoma. He still got Colorado and Kansas, three massive games. And I think the difference for him this season for Qua is that these games are going to be home. Switching over to the Buffs schedule, obviously you've got that undefeated Austin situation, and he's about to get into the thick of it. As there's a show that kids like to watch, and it says into the thick of it. That's where Austin is about to be here very soon, as he has Texas Tech, Texas, but he gets three of these games at home. One is away, so there is a slight of a benefit to the schedule. Looking over at the mighty Jayhawks with J Stack for his season to end. He's also going to have the same battle situation. The only difference is everything's on the road this season. Last season, the game benefited him quite a bit with a home schedule, which, in fairness, the game should do that. It should rotate on the conference side of things to benefit users from the home or away situation. I'm going to lean with the Big 12. Oh, the last person I didn't look at was Tech because really Tech is really tells me this true story on how this is going to go down. Even though I think I just kind of saw Tech in between, he's already played against Qua, so that was a game. He took the win, got the rematch against J Stack, and was able to take that one. He goes on the road to Colorado and Oklahoma to finish the season. Um, Texas Tech has a real opportunity. This is going to be another three-man race in the Big 12. Another three-man race in the Big 12. I believe it's going to go between Texas Tech, Texas, and Colorado. I do believe Austin has the most favorable situation to finish based on the home to away game position that you see within the Big 12. Qua's going to have an opportunity there. I believe Qua is going to be that number two user regardless of the three. And then ultimately, I think Tech's going to get in just from a ranking standpoint, just talking about it from a playoff position. But in regards to the getting to that conference game and that matchup, there's a little bit of a cat and mouse that could be played right here, a little bit of a chess game because I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but it's definitely something that I feel like I've paid attention to in these past few seasons now that we've played NCAA. You absolutely need to think about where you land in the playoff picture. Yes, that's my opinion. When it comes to the playoff picture, if you're not getting into a bye week and you feel confident that you're sure that going into this conference game that there's a chance you're going to get your ass whooped, you might as well just go in and lose that game. Depending on where you believe you're going to land in that playoff picture. Positions matter in this game. That is the difference between Madden and college to me. You know, every time I see the conversation of Madden to college, I've said this before, entertainment and gameplay, they're different. Situation of how you build, they're different. They're supposed to be. Every time I see that conversation come up where people are high and mighty on the NCAA side or high and mighty on the Madden side, it doesn't matter. They are different because they're supposed to be. I don't know if y'all played the game 10 years ago, but guess what? They were different then. It makes sense that they're different now. It makes sense that the products play different. In real life, it's played different. It's supposed to be that way. So that's the Big 12. Going over to the Big Ten, and my, this is not the expectation that I had for the Big Ten to start out. Be very honest. We have an undefeated Fuzz, 4-0 in the conference. We have a 6-1. Man, let me tell you, y'all can call them the AARP all you want. But those eyes are working this week. They've been working this cycle. We have Rome 6-1, 4-1 in the conference. JC 3-1. Bloodshed not looking as bloody as he did when we first started. That's interesting because in the beginning, Bloodshed was quite bloody with that Michigan team. Bloodshed was having no issues with that Michigan team. And these past 2 seasons, he's not looking like the same dog that I felt like I saw when we first started this game. We've got Jub with Penn State at 4-2, 2-1 in the conference. Still a few games left to play. Jacob at 3-3, 1-2, and then of course Lolo at 1-2. And I don't think this is a story that's going to be difficult. It's going to be the same 3-man race that we've seen so far, looking at each conference with Navy, Notre Dame, and USC, and that's just how it's going to work out. USC's not out of this. Yeah, no, I mean, at some point, at some point, these matchups are going to run into each other. Bloodshed is obviously going to have a game against Fuzz, as I stated earlier today. We'll see how that plays out. Is he able to get Fuzz down a game? I don't know why people aren't just, I'm not even gonna tell people how to play against Fuzz when you have a better team. It's I'm not gonna tell people how to play against Fuzz. If you haven't figured that out, that's on you. Fuzz surprised me over in LOC with that situation with Hawaii. And how he played the game. I'd be damned if I let you do that again, Fuzzmeister. However, he is sitting atop of the Big Ten. Obviously, new over to the conference. And no shock, I've never seen Fuzz not play well in any league he's ever played in. I mean, I can take Fuzz all the way back to good times, playing well, switching over, then competing over in LL, playing well, playing over in TH, playing well. I have never not seen Fuzz be productive on the game. The man just understands how to play his version of any game and be successful. I think this is going to come down to Fuzz playing against Rome, and then USC is going to be in that third spot. USC really needs to win out so he can be above Rome to play in a conference game. It's not about him beating Rome. It's about him playing in the conference game against potentially Fuzz to put himself in a position where if he wins, he has the opportunity to get into that playoff picture. The Pac-12, yeah, this conference right here, I feel bad. I feel bad for some of the people that I have placed over here. That we have placed over here. I feel like they don't deserve what they deal with in this conference. I feel like this conference is it is full of heat that is not showing up. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know what is going on with Nicholas Bartholomew Adams. I don't know. I don't know. I know he's 2-0 in the conference, so he can potentially make the playoffs if he wins a conference game. But I couldn't tell you why Dick isn't performing on college ball. I do not know the issue when it comes to Oregon and Nicholas Cage Adams. No clue. Because in my mind, if you were a user in the space of Madden that could pass the ball with greatness, it's actually kind of shocking to me that you get to college and there's a struggle. I can understand the struggle as far as maybe throwing a pick every now and then, things of that nature. I get it. Like I've trust me, there are so many damn versions of a quarterback on NCAA. You've got to really figure out. The thing I figured out about NCAA are a few things. The first one is you have to figure out the style of quarterback that best fits your style of play. Then the second is you have to figure out the meter situation that fits your style of passing. So when you rotate quarterbacks on this game, there's also an impact on that meter the passing meter that we all have on the game, where you're trying to decide the range in between, that impacts with each choice you do. Whether you go with field improviser, whether you're going with scrambler, like it's all impacted. This game is so in depth with that. So maybe that's the issue or current situation he has with Oregon. But he's undefeated as far as conference, and that's ultimately all that's going to matter. LSU is playing well. 3-2, slight uptick from last season to start. So definitely want to give a shout out to him. Ty Daddy was obviously over in LOC when he went out of the country. I think for a little bit, he was okay with the transition of moving over to KOC. He's able to play a little bit more decent. I mean, in my opinion, you can't judge nobody's skill on this game. It's all team based to me. But again, everyone's going to have an opinion. It's 100% team based. He was playing with South Carolina, and he was not playing well with South Carolina. And South Carolina was the third worst ranked team from the league that he was playing in. Makes sense. Makes sense. And then you've got DTZ. Hold on. Is that DTZ? Does DTZ have 4 wins? Does DTZ have 4 wins? Yo. Nah. Ain't no way, boy. Ain't no way, boy. Ain't no way, boy. If y'all let FDTZ, I'm not even gonna put that out in the air, man. DTZ's 4-1. That's crazy. He's 4-1 in the conference. Now, in retrospect, there's only three CPU teams in this conference. He's 4-1. We got Tar Heel sitting at 2-1. Obviously, Earl with Oklahoma State. Earl, if you don't get your ass in there and fucking recruit with Oklahoma State, dog. Now I'm saying this shit publicly. I've tried to be very private about it, but I've been a fan of in some way or another of Oklahoma State, and just watching you just not giving 2 shits is really annoying, big dog. I just want you to know that. I'm gonna need you to go in and recruit with that damn team. Put them on auto, sir, please. Do it for our sake, please. I'm gonna say this conference in the Pac-12 is going to end pretty simple. It's going to be Ohio State, Oregon, and Miami. That's the 3. Ohio State, Oregon, and Miami. You're going to have Ohio State. Tar Heel Boy better be the number 1 user coming out of the conference at the end of the day. And it should be Nick Adams if he gets his games in and he's active. And he's also currently undefeated in the conference. And I like DTZ's position being 4-1 up to this point. He absolutely, you've got King 504 down here, 1-5 with this UCF team. Which I'm a little shocked by because I got a lot of respect for his game. I think the biggest issue for him is probably like other users where it's just not finishing. And I get it. I typically start games terrible. Typically the window for me to get my ass whooped is in the beginning of a game. But this is going to be DTZ, Tar Heel Boy with Ohio State, and then Nicholas Barack Adams with Oregon. The battle is going to be between eventually Ohio State and Oregon, I believe, in the conference game. I do not see DTZ beating either one of these users, including Ty Daddy with LSU. And so DTZ is going to be the odd man out with a hopeful spirit. Oh, I hate my conference so much. I really hate the SEC. I really when we realign the conference or the conferences, no joke, I was about to take myself out. I've been getting my ass whooped. I'm tired of that shit. I'm just gonna keep it a bean. I'm tired of that shit on this game. I'm tired of getting my ass whooped in college. Per it. And the SEC, just like KOC, just like any conference, any league that I've seen, is competitive. It just is what it is. Now, as far as the team overalls, things look different, but that just is what it is. But we have Legend sitting, the current previous Natty winner, Legend, sitting at 4-1. We have Block 4-1 on the rise with that team. He said be above the belt. Uh, we have Block on the rise at 4-1, currently undefeated in conference. I'm 4-1. Obviously, I undefeated in conference. Took a game against two people that one is just himself, and the other it has just been a while, and I owed him. We have old Mr. Clancy at 4-1, playing well. J Rose 3-2. I mean, hell, this shit ain't over. This shit is not over. We are in the midst of changes that can happen in a hurry. We have Hendricks at the 14th spot, 3-2, 1-2, and who are the two games he lost to? Oh, no, that's right. Yeah, BOD. And then we have Alabama in the truck driving tugboat, Bama. And I gotta play this bitch today. As far as the conference in the SEC, I have no idea. I really don't. I think obviously Legend's going to be there just because the build on that Georgia team is fucking crazy. That's not his fault. There's a lot of people in the chat that, you know, they hate on Legends team with Georgia. Oh, he always gets the recruits. Da 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 da. Hey, brother, the door is open to everybody. He can't help if you don't. He can't help if you don't use it. He cannot help if you don't go in there and recruit. And he is currently sitting at the top of the chart. I don't know. I don't know how our conference is going to finish out. I am going to say that most likely Tennessee and Alabama, as far as conference games are done, so they're going to have to try to get in as far as the playoffs. I think Florida is still in it. I'm not a believer of Ole Miss. No offense to Tommy Clancy. I'm just Mr. Clancy. I'm not a believer. I'm just not a believer, and that's scary to say because I play you this season. I still gotta play you, big dog. I'm just not a believer, cuz. Nah, cuz I have no faith, no faith, cuz at all. I don't. Um, but I did see what you're doing in 2K though over there with J Stack. I see y'all in the NBA Finals. I'm gonna need y'all to stream that because I would like to see that finish out. Just so you know. Um, J Rose is going to be J Rose. It's going to be a matter of him finishing out or not. He's still in the race. And so I think for us, it just comes down to who plays who. And then, of course, you got Block. Block is on the rise, doing something that I'm not shocked. I mean, I heard about a situation he had at quarterback that he should be drug tested, just how I feel. But for Alabama, he still got myself, and he has Legend, Ole Miss, and Auburn. All of those games are a home game except one. So there's an opportunity for Corey to turn it around. And then looking over at Auburn to finish his season, he's got a big game against Hendricks on the road. Got myself at home, and then he's got Legend and Bama. Looking over at let's see, Florida. Let's see how Jay Rose is going to finish out. He's got in his situation, he's got everybody left. He's got Ole Miss, Georgia, Tennessee, Auburn. I mean, he's got three games to finish that are going to be tough. And then of course, you know what Georgia's got. The biggest change for Legends schedule this season versus last is the game is finally showing some love. And I get a goddamn home game finally. Shit. I'm tired of going to fucking Georgia. I don't know what that's about, but I'm finally getting a home game. Then he's going to obviously get to repay the favor to Jay Rose, as Jay Rose has to play that Georgia team at home, and I think that's going to be what ends Florida's season with those Gators. And I think the other one, I think that's pretty much it as far as looking at major schedules within league play. Again, it's like I said, I think I said it earlier, I've got Auburn, I've still got Ole Miss. And then, of course, I've got Legend to finish the season. I have no idea as far as the SEC and how that's going to finish. I really don't. I do not have a true perspective on how it's going. I believe it's going to be Georgia and either myself with A&M or Auburn. I think Florida is going to get canceled out when he has to play those Bulldogs. Hendricks has the opportunity to sneak in, but he needs one of these teams above him to have two losses at least. And I think that additional loss is going to come with Jay Rose. He's going, and just in my opinion, I don't think he has any chance against that Georgia team on the road. That home is going to matter playing that Georgia team. Hey, I'm just gonna say what it is. Kudos to Legend. He's figured it out. Um, Last and not least, we're going to look at recruiting, the one space that I never want to talk about. I don't like how happy y'all get behind recruiting. That's really all it is. Like. We'll be right back. We're gonna break this shit down quick. Yeah, I'm not even gonna spend a whole lot of time here. Just looking at this picture just pissed me off. Just looking at this picture alone just pissed me off. So I'm not even gonna spend too much time here at all looking at recruiting. We're just gonna look at the top classes, and we're gonna get out of here and we're gonna end the show because again, y'all get way too excited about this space. I just don't appreciate it. It just is what it is. I don't appreciate it. Looking at total recruits up to this point, Jay Rose obviously doing his thing. 23, 2 5 stars, 21 4 stars. But look at this. Look at y'all. Oh my god. Oh my god, bruh. Oh my god, bruh. What? Oh, we gotta do something about this shit. Legends got 12 5 stars, dog. I mean, here's the thing. Colton's right behind him with 5. Hendricks with 3. And then as far as the most 4 stars up to this point, obviously Florida, Wisconsin, 13, 12, 10, and 10, as you see Frizzle, with those Washington Huskies up to this point. We better not have no 2 stars being recruited by users. Oklahoma State, Earl, dog. You know what, Earl? I'm gonna leave it alone, bro. You do you at Oklahoma State, bro. You do you at Oklahoma State, big dog. I'm not you. Hey, you know what? That's your thing. That's your thing, bro. You do your thing, and you just do your thing, bro, and that's fine. That's fine. You just do whatever you want when it comes to Oklahoma. As far as the rankings, when it comes to top classes, no shock that it's majority that the SEC is up top with 2. You have ACC technically with 3. ACC with Clemson, at Colton, and then of course the user we shall not name out of the what is it, Big Ten? I think is he in the Big Ten? And then no, he's in ACC. Big 12 with King Kai. I know that stung, Qua. Oh, I know that stung just now. With Texas with Qua. Again, they both play with Texas in 2 different leagues, so it's not a shot. It's easy to make the mistake. I'm looking at Washington, knowing that's Frizzle, and in my mind that's also Qua. And then of course we have Swag, and then Colorado at 10. Yeah, I'm not looking at. I don't want to look at y'all stuff. I don't want to break any of that down. I do want to go to um, the I think it's championship contender. Hold on, which one is it? We're gonna look at this real fast. Coach Prestige, and see where everyone's prestiges are. I think that's what it was. Coach Prestige. What are we looking for here? I don't remember what it was called. I was looking at this earlier and was like, no, it's interesting. Um, Maybe I'm tripping. I forgot where you can go. There we go. As far as conference prestiges, we have the SEC at 1, Big Ten at 2, ACC at 3, the Big 12 4, and the Pac 12 sitting at 5. So that's just the opening to a view that I realize most people don't go look at is that is the current conference standings within league play. Really shocked that the Big 12 is so low. I wonder if that has to do with the ACC having two different users make natties, which is crazy because the Big 12 has a user that has won two national championship. So that's really interesting. The grading on this game doesn't make sense to me. But that is the recruiting space. Again, I don't like y'all, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time in the recruiting space. Really quick, going over to the Heisman Watch. Did see this earlier with Texas Tech, Arkansas, and the Fuzz Meister sitting there with a quarterback, Marcel Davis. Obviously, you do see when it comes to Texas Tech quarterback receiver duo, not shocked there. And no shock here as well. I mean, Smitty's balling with Mr. Buse. Took a tough loss against Knowles, but that is the current standings. Well, guys, I took an hour out of my day of work, so I figured I'd go ahead and knock some stuff out and do a quick show for the league. And was hoping that this will hoping that this show will get seen by enough, especially by the viewers that requested it. I'm gonna take my black ass back to work. I'm gonna talk to y'all soon. Take care of y'all fucking mentals, cuz.